Hello and a very good afternoon. Welcome back to the WorldSkills UK live online international skills summit. It is day one and it is the very first online international skills summit for obvious reasons. And this event is about creating new opportunities for technical education for young men and women of all backgrounds to help build a skills-led recovery across the UK. And welcome to session 5. Delighted to let you know this is about using international benchmarking in skills to drive productivity. And without any further ado, let me welcome you to our panel who are joining us live this afternoon. We have Paul Fitzpatrick, who's General Manager of Toyota's apprenticeship program. We have Babak Jahanbani, who's Head of Learning Systems at Festo Didactic, and Fraser Minskip, who's High Performance Skills Coach at WorldSkills UK. Welcome to you all. It's very good to have you with us this afternoon. Just a reminder to those of you at home, as always, if you have any questions you want to place to the panel, you can do by using the window on the right hand side of your screen. Just click where it says ask a question, pop your name and also ideally your job title so we can reference to the part of the world that you are working in, and we'll ask as many questions during the afternoon session as we can. So as I say, welcome Paul, Babak and Fraser. Paul, if I can start with you, one of the things we've been speaking about today in great to great extent is about the importance of skills. And I know that you provided the case study for WorldSkills UK's recent publication on skills excellence. And I think if it's all right with you, we should start by talking about that. And I just wonder what for you is the importance of skills excellence and how can we define it?
It started for us with a challenge that we received from Japan, our parent company, of how we could demonstrate our premium capability and, if you like, win long-term business in the UK. So we, with the help of our local college partner, Burton and South Derbyshire College, basically investigated and benchmarked how we could do that. In Japan, we know they have a history of using skills competitions to accelerate development, and we attended the skills show for the first time in 2013 as a bit of a research activity, and then we decided to compete in Mechatronics, which is the nearest thing to the suite of skills we need to maintain our facility, and we positioned it as an aspirational pathway for the apprentices. And you know, at the end of the day, we need highly capable technicians, future leaders and future engineers. And not only could we accelerate their technical capability, but also their behavioural skills and their ability to work with strict deadlines and under pressure, which in our business, when we're making a car every 85 seconds, we need both of those skill sets in harmony. So that was a background for starting on this journey.
And one of the things that specifically it looked at, and I think, again, it's important we talk about it because these are words that have been used throughout the day, and that is that you've used the competition element to benchmark skills development and also improve the apprenticeship program that you offer. And, you know, there is a debate amongst some. I don't think anybody has the debate still who is watching this program, but amongst the wider public about the value of competition. For you, I'm guessing you have seen very clearly the value of competition, not just in your business, but also in the value to the apprentices themselves.
Absolutely. So obviously our manufacturing environment is very dynamic. And of course we do placements for the students, but in a competition scenario, we can do it, if you like, an off-the-job skills and behavioural pressure test. We can give them real-time feedback. We can give them technical and behavioural coaching in terms of their decision-making, how they prepared for the task. And all of those skills, honestly, they can carry forward in their careers. And over the research, we've had excellent feedback from the engineering departments in terms of the suite of skills that the apprentices take with them into their careers. So absolutely, we use them as a development tool in their careers, if I'm honest.
And just briefly, we will come back to you, but there's a few things that I've seen in my own lifetime that I think has been amazing and remarkable in the way that cars are developed. I mean, one of those things was the change from leaded to unleaded, which at the time was hugely significant. And of course, more recently is the change from unleaded and the remarkable sudden dislike and almost pushing away of anything to do with diesel to hybrid to electric. You've now got the COVID issue, which has affected sales hugely over the last few months. And the idea of cars that don't need drivers. Yeah. Your industry never stops, never stands still. Have you not learnt where the brake pedal is yet?
It's very challenging and it's very dynamic. And looking ahead as well, we're trying to understand what Industry 4.0 means to us. We're starting to actually support the Industry 4.0 competition, which is new. We've started some collaboration with universities, research projects, and actually our apprentices are involved in those so that they can get in at the early stages and have a play. And we also recognise that probably the car industry, traditionally when I was a teenager, you buy a car, you'd own it for a number of years. I think the whole concept of what mobility looks like will change radically over the coming years, and obviously we need to be on that journey. So yeah, it's very dynamic and quite a complex picture, but it's interesting, very interesting for our business.
It really is, and Paul will come back to you. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the first car that I had that was my own. I was so excited because it had an AM and long wave radio with 5 push button dials to make sure that my presets were there. And it had 1 speaker on the left-hand passenger side, not even 2. And to me, that was idyllic. It was like the zenith of entertainment. But anyway, things, as you say, Paul, have moved on, and we will come back to you very soon in some other areas too to discuss. Babak Jahanbani also joins us this session, Head of Learning Systems at Festo Didactic. Can we talk about your involvement in WorldSkills UK's Mechatronics competition? And first of all, for the uninitiated, what is Mechatronics?
Yes, yeah, thanks. So, Mechatronics is it's basically a mixture of mechanical, electrical engineering along with programming. So it basically brings it's the very heart of the current industrial automated production lines.
And what you're having to do, of course, as part of the role that you play, is you are allowing Team UK in Mechatronics to compete internationally, to reach that benchmark, to pressure test, to make sure that you are literally world class, as opposed to the kind of colloquial world class that we hear so much from politicians and others. Tell us about that journey and some of the joys and problems that it brings you.
I mean, for us, Mechatronics, if I just sort of first just do a small introduction on what Festo does. Our business is industrial automation. We are one of the largest suppliers in the world, and Festo Didactic, which is I'm part of it, that was set up 50 years ago to actually tackle skills shortage within Festo and also address that with our suppliers and customers. Since 1991, we have been involved with WorldSkills International, and we were actually the founder of Mechatronics competition within WorldSkills International. WorldSkills International was an ideal platform for us to read because obviously it's about technical skills, technical training, apprenticeship, which is very close to our heart, being a German company. We have close to 350 apprentices who go through a 3-year program. We obviously picked on Mechatronics because with automation becoming quite an important topic, there was a massive shortage of skills, not just at Festo, but also amongst many of our customers. So we got involved with that, and the UK leg of it obviously has gone from strength to strength since the current format of WorldSkills UK took place from 2011, and obviously the UK for the past few years has been from Toyota UK, and since they got involved, which I think was either 2013, I think, if I'm not wrong. Then you've just seen that their success obviously has gone from strength to strength. But also what's been amazing about Toyota and the way the team got involved is just the whole philosophy and the whole sort of the way they approached it, the support that they gave to the teams. And this achievement wouldn't have come unless there was, and obviously there still is, commitment right from which filters all the way through down to the team members.
And one of the things we have heard again and again and again from employers is their almost never-ending demand for high-end skills. And it's something that in some cases we take for granted. In others, we're aware that there is a huge skills shortages in certain areas of industry, certain areas of the service sector as well. How do you assist? How do you enable you? How do you get a thorough understanding of what skills employers need and how you can help deliver them?
We've been involved with Festo Didactic has been involved with technical education for nearly 50 years. We have our own academy in Germany, and as I said, we've been dealing with apprentices for quite a long time. As a supplier of learning systems in technical education, again we are one of the largest suppliers in the world. We are in constant communication with our customers, with our suppliers. These are well-known automotive suppliers, and then food and beverages, electronic assembly, and so we stay. Obviously, we are in touch with. As a manufacturing company, we set the pace in what is the latest in industrial automation, which is what we supply to our customers. So therefore, we know what the skill shortages are, and throughout the world, we work closely with the UN. We work closely with a lot of governments to address the skill shortage and try and help them over. And to top that up, obviously, WorldSkills, the platform also is another sort of eye opener for us into like what are the latest skills and what are the shortages.
Okay, Babak, many thanks for that. And Fraser Minskip also joins us this session. Fraser, you are a high-performance skills coach at WorldSkills UK. And before we talk in more detail, just explain your specific role.
So our specific role is exactly what the other two are talking about now. It's that how we know what's needed. We know why we're involved in it. So why is that such a closed group? So the Centre of Excellence is actually to share our global best practice and our best teaching and training practice within our skills, and make a direct approach to say, okay, we know what we do and how we operate on a world stage. It's time to hit this really at an FE level. So it's not just the people who make it into skills competitions get our gleams of insights and competition. It's the fact that we can start right in at the layer of vocational education from 16 years old and onwards. So it's to bridge that gap, I suppose, between leaving FE and going into a skills competition life or world or journey, and bringing it right in to the educators and those young people as well.
And what's your experience of working in the automotive industry and certainly using your experience and your skills within WorldSkills UK to help employers get the skills that they need?
So my experience in the automotive trade, I know nothing else but my automotive background. I've from 15 years old done nothing else but automotive apart from training and education, of course. So it's wide and varied. So I've worked within FE for many years, and also within that some of the more business side of FE, which is linking with apprentices and adult training with manufacturers, both nationally and internationally. So there's really, what I've noticed, a really common theme which comes through, and there is often, we talked about it before. We talked about a skills gap that kind of splits into two areas. So that two areas, yes, there is a gap in skills within apprentices and even workers on industry floors, but also there is a severe lack of those numbers as well. So it's been a real look at how we build this up from WorldSkills. How do we look at this? So I suppose to put that into a one sentencer, what we do is to help the most, to make sure that skills gap is there in isn't there in everybody. We take a back to basics core competence approach and go all the way up to a global insights position. So we try and cover all of those bases.
Thank you for that, and we'll come back to you shortly. Paul, can I return to you? Because one of the things we have obviously discussed during these sessions is the question of the involvement of government. We've had Gillian Keegan on earlier on, the minister, and we've spoken to former skills ministers as well. Government, local government, mayors, they have a huge impact on the cars people buy, on the requirements that people then have to deliver for those cars. We're seeing road space that is being taken up, certainly being reduced and replaced with wider pavements because of COVID and more routes for cycling. And I just wonder if you have confidence that in the future this is not going to affect the demand for apprentices in the future. This is not going to change our love of the car, because there's no doubt we still have a love of the motor car despite the messaging that we may get from governments and others.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, honestly, I think our business, one of our corporate strategies is almost mobility for all, and sponsoring the Olympics, for example. And I think we'll evolve from just being a car company to being a company that provides mobility solutions. So you already mentioned earlier about autonomous vehicles. I think there'll be car ownership will change, and I think how a car is handled over its life cycle will change as well. And I think our approach is that we want to be, at the forefront of that journey. In terms of our core business, we've been in the UK now nearly 30 years, and we've got many capable people in the plant, but we've got an aging demographic, and we are positioning the apprenticeship programs as our part of our regeneration strategy. And we're giving ourselves obviously 3-4 years per individual to grow that talent to support the long-term demographic. But the skills that we're trying to develop, I would say, are to make us more agile in the future. So rather than it be sort of how do we make a hybrid vehicle, I think what are the skills that our young people need for enable us to evolve, as well as just making a core product, if you like. So and the mechatronics pathway, one of the things I would add is, well, we don't just train Toyota staff. We're actually a partner for a number of local companies, and some of those companies aren't automotive, and some of those companies aren't even suppliers to us. But actually the mechatronics pathway, for example, in automated warehousing and other high-tech businesses, those skill set are very transferable and very adaptable. So so I think the car industry will change, and what we're trying to do is equip our new people with a suite of skills that mean that we can almost move with it.
And Babak Johanbani, Head of Learning Systems at Festo Didactic. Obviously, one of the key things we're discussing in this session is using international benchmarking in skills to drive productivity. We've already seen, unfortunately, the postponement of WorldSkills. We've seen a postponement of the Shanghai WorldSkills in 2021. And of course, these are key moments where we can see where we stand, where we sit compared to those skills elsewhere in the world. Do you see there a growing issue about how we will be able to compete in the future and to make sure that we understand what those benchmark levels must be?
No, I mean for us in the UK, since as I said, since the current format of WorldSkills, which started from 2011, it has seen the standard basically getting better and better in the UK, and getting much closer to the international standards. We work closely in the UK with Middlesex University. They do the assignments for the live competition. And also the other beauty of mechatronics is that it's first it's a team competition, so you have a team of two, and then it's also the way that it cuts across different sectors. We have teams from UC, University Technical College, then we have teams from colleges, we have teams from universities, from industry, and the youngest normally tends to be from the UTC, but they've done pretty well. I mean, when Toyota or Middlesex University finished first and second, these guys equally sort of finished second and third. So that's the beauty of this competition. And no, I mean overall, we're quite pleased with the way the UK team has progressed through, and also as it was pointed out earlier, I mean, Toyota have obviously come back with better and better results every year, whether it was skills or WorldSkills.
And Fraser Minskip, high performance skills coach at WorldSkills UK. We must talk about those people of Squad UK, later Team UK, who are still trying to work out what the next few years are going to look like. They will have prepared for certain points, benchmarks, if you like, in the diary going forward. Those are now ever changing, and I suppose the key for us in the UK, as it would be for any other country, but particularly if we focus on the UK, is to make sure we're ready at that point at the right time.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a blow. Let's not deny this. But we can also see it as a bit of a bonus. Let's say. Yeah, we've now got an extended time. We've now got an extended time rather than it's been postponed. It's extended the amount of time we can look at the training cycles, what we do, how we innovate and move around with technology. Just as you talked about with Paul, of the trade changing dramatically. It's almost moving from a motor industry to a lifestyle industry. So we're doing the same. We're looking at how we can train at distance, online, that blended approach. So we keep that information flowing. We keep our competitors and Squad UK training. Just because the Olympics, let's say, they didn't stop training. They didn't think, I've only got a year. So if we look at it on that level, we're going to turn this round upside down, and we're going to say that this is a bonus.
I think we should take your number, because you're clearly glass half full, and there are not many of you left in the last 6 months. I mean, I include Babak and Paul in this, but particularly you, I think your words will probably be inspiring to a lot of people. And on the other subject of the way things are going forward and distance learning, I think many schools and universities are suddenly having to learn the importance of being able to bring their subjects to life, not in a lecture hall, not in a theatre environment, but actually on a two-dimensional screen. And I'm guessing that's something that you're having to learn pretty quickly how to do as well, to inspire from a distance, virtually, remotely.
Yeah, again, it is a new challenge. It's something that technology has been there to do this for quite some time. It's not new that we've got Zoom, Teams, or whatever platform it is that you want to use. It's how we've interacted with them and how we're doing that now. Yes, it's a challenge. Yes, to change our mind's focus on, I need to physically be there to make sure that the information goes through. But as we get used to it, as the time is moving on, we are using it, and we are using it effectively. It's different. We have to look at absolutely everything that we do in a slightly different light. And this time almost we can see ourselves on screen to see how this is effectively working, and to see if the information is going across the right levels at the right speeds. It's difficult, but it's not insurmountable. And I'm, really, really proud with how we've been able to strive forward and keep that momentum.
And if I can go through each of you in turn, I'm going to give you all a little bit of notice of the question to just give you a chance to think about it. And that is, you know, we know that young people who do not have the baggage that sometimes we get as we go through life, who don't have the habits that perhaps we pick up, that doesn't want change as we go forward, who do have very clear minds and are open to new ideas and new thoughts, which is sometimes, not always, but sometimes the problem as we grow older. And I just wonder if you can tell me the most remarkable idea a young person who has come through your arms has come up with. Fraser, will come to you shortly, also Babak, just to see what you think. But Paul, the reason that this inspired me is because whatever we have in our cars in the future is probably going to be inspired by an idea that an apprentice has come up with. And I just wonder if there's something that you have been told, Paul, why don't we do this? What really enthusiastically, and you're thinking, actually, why don't we? Why have we never thought of that before?
I think rather than an individual idea, I think similar to Fraser's point, I think some of the remote ways of working and virtual ways of working were there, but maybe not embraced by ourselves. And what we've noticed by bringing in large groups of young people with fresh ideas, two things: us as management and as established need to listen and embrace those new ideas, else they'll probably leave. And actually, our academy and our other training areas have evolved to a more blended learning style. And the other thing that we've noticed, they have a massive input and conscience around social challenges we face and diversity and inclusion. So they're bringing we could bring in new ideas, you know, in terms of how we should work. And honestly, we have to embrace that, but actually it will make us stronger. So I think by having this demographic challenge and bringing new ideas in, I think we're already seeing changes in our working practices, making us more efficient. But also we're seeing some behavioural changes. We're changing the way the inside of the factory looks to make it more female friendly, to give people better social spaces, to give people better confidential spaces, that type of thing. So yeah, I think similar to Fraser's comment, and I think if we don't do that, I think we run the risk of becoming stale as well. So I think that's the biggest thing, by bringing in a lot of talented people with new ideas and embracing those new ideas. It's making us stronger as a business.
Can I tell you my 3 favourite inventions on cars in the recent years, which I really sincerely hope came from an apprentice somewhere? Number 1, the heated car seat. I have to say, my life changed when that arrived. I know it's not for everybody, but it is for me. Yeah. Secondly, the steering wheel, which has basically become a centre of operations, a control centre of everything. Yeah. It never had buttons. In fact, when I first started, it didn't even have a hooter. You had to use the sidebar for that. So that's number 2. And number 3, I don't need it, although I'm now beginning to rely on it, the reverse parking cam. So I really hope that at least one of those was the work of an apprentice. Do you think it might have been? I have to say, I think the heated seat has got to be the invention of somebody over 50. But the other 2, maybe. What do you think?
Probably. I think the parking cameras helped reduce our fleet car costs down as well.
I'm sure it has. Babak, what about you? What's the greatest idea an apprentice has come up with, or just expand that point any way you like?
But just expanding on that, I mean, for me, WorldSkills Live does a lot. Seeing that sort of crowd of youngsters coming, and the numbers that come to stand, and they say we like STEM, we like to make things work and happen, and we like practical work, but we have no idea what to do. We don't like traditional engineering, and like when we then go through automation and and now with this Industry 4 sort of going into digitalization and the other technologies that are part of it, and you just like suddenly got the youngsters' attention. And then the best part of it is when they come back on the Saturday with their parents, and they bring them to the stand, and then you kind of like overhearing the conversation that the youngster is just repeating a lot of the things that you've been telling him or her, and then the parents are just like so happy that he's managed to find obviously something for the future of interest.
Okay, many thanks for that. Now, this is a question that's come in from our audience for Fraser, from Mark Forsyth. So Fraser, I will let you also answer the apprentice question if you'd like to, but if we can tackle this one first. During these times where no face-to-face occurs, how can WorldSkills UK training managers engage tutors to adopt WorldSkills UK excellence programs?
I think that's difficult. Again, it's going to have to be a blended approach. So to engage, we're engaging now, and I think it needs to be the norm for this moment in time. It makes it tricky in our head if we focus on the fact that actually we can only engage when we're face to face and smell each other's aftershave or perfume. It's the way that we're looking to change at this moment in time. So yeah, it's difficult. It's different. And will it be effective? We've got to find that out, but we've got to try before we find that out.
Okay, and the most remarkable idea that an apprentice has come to you with?
There are many over the years, I have to say, and I'm glad to have conversations with training managers, not only all around the UK but around the world. But I'm going to choose one of mine from an apprentice I had, or a squad member I had last cycle. We were struggling for a type of repair where in his workshop it just didn't happen. There was lots of newer vehicles, so very little things were repaired, so that skill was starting to waver. We did everything that we could. We brought this young man into college as much as we can, Saturdays, Sundays, but he came up with an idea of where he emptied his mum and dad's conservatory. So, because we was in the middle of the winter, emptied his mum and dad conservatory and put polythene sheeting all around and turned that into a workshop so we could continue to train. I thought that was, for me, one of the most powerful statements that a squad member can have.
And what did their mum and dad think?
The ability to keep going. I had a very awkward conversation with mum and dad at an event, but they saw what this young man was doing, and it kind of paled into insignificance when they saw the drive and commitment and the change within that young person, what this process was having. So yeah, luckily I got away with that.
Many thanks to all of our panelists. It's a fascinating session to me. I hope it was for you at home. Paul Fitzpatrick, General Manager, Toyota Apprenticeship Programme, Babak Jahanbani, Head of Learning Systems at Festo Didactic, and Fraser Minskip, High Performance Skills Coach at WorldSkills UK. And that was using international benchmarking in skills to drive productivity. Neil Bentley-Gockman, OBE, who is the CEO of WorldSkills UK, is back with us in the studio. Before we kind of review the day and go through what we've seen, you have met probably far more than your fair share of apprentices. What kind of ideas have you heard that you just thought, wow, that's what being young is about?
Well, it's more, I mean, I think some of the people, Fraser talking about, it's more the mindset that anything's possible. And listening to Fraser talking about that, I've heard loads of examples of how our competitors in Squad and Team UK just really go for their goals and turn their lives upside down to be able to make sure they've got the right experience to succeed. That example of turning somebody's conservatory, their parents' conservatory, into a workshop. I mean, I heard that about a young woman who is exactly the same, to turn not just their parents' conservatory into a beauty parlour, but turn the heating up so that she was working under conditions that would be just like Abu Dhabi, where she was going to compete, and just rocketed the heating bill. And so, but you do get all of this sort of innovation and innovative thinking, which I think at the where they are in terms of their career and what they're doing will stand them in fantastic stead for what they do next when they start work. And if if they have the right workplace and the right managers who really think innovatively about allowing young people who've succeeded through WorldSkills UK training to be able to come into the workplace and do things differently, that will stand them in good stead. And there was one of the competitors from the Abu Dhabi cycle who did go back to work and said, I've learned all these amazing things from the WorldSkills UK training. And his manager was a bit skeptical, but he said, no, bear with me and we'll look at our production and manufacturing cycle. And through the training that he got from us and through being able to compete internationally, he shaved 20 minutes off a 2-hour production cycle. Now that is significant in terms of cost saving and in terms of productivity, which you've just been talking about, which helps that company be more competitive and be more competitive to the major supplier that they were working with. And that sort of innovation really makes sense day in and day out for every company. And that's why we do what we're doing. And that's why we believe the training that we do, which is achieving higher and world-class standards, makes a real difference and can make a real difference to employers up and down the land.
Earlier on, we broadcast the BAE Systems interview that I did with the panel about a week or so ago. And because it was pre-recorded, this question came in too late. But it is one that I think I'll put to you if that is okay. It's from Rebecca Blackburn, who's Head of Quality and Learning at Rotherham and North Nottinghamshire College Group. And Rebecca asked, it would be good to have an overview of how participating in WorldSkills is good for apprentices and how employers can get more involved. She says, I know that they've written a paper on it, but it may be more useful to hear where this has occurred and the outcomes for learners. I mean, there's definitely an outcome yes. that you can quantify.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great question from Rebecca. I mean, I don't know whether Rebecca was still tuned in today and just listened to the session there with Toyota, as well as the earlier session with BAE Systems. But I think, we've done a lot of work to quantify the benefits for apprentices, and actually when you look at Team UK and who does well, it tends to be apprentices because they have real life work experience and they're working under such pressure in their day job, and they harness that through the competitive pressure and the pressure test that they're under in competition. And so there are huge benefits for young people and there are benefits for the employers, and we do case studies and research around all of that. And I'd urge Rebecca to get in touch with us to find out more. Look at our website, look at our research. There'll be more about this tomorrow, looking at the research that we've done and how it benefits, how driving up standards in apprenticeships and technical education really benefit young people and their employers ultimately. But there's a lot of work we've done, so get in touch to talk further about that.
And before tomorrow, let's just review a little bit about today. We started with Gillian Keegan, the Minister. We then had Anne Milton and also Robert Halfon and many other panellists, as you saw, and many of you will have seen a lot of it at home or indeed at work if you had, the work on one bit and the TV on in the background, for which we're very thankful for. What are some of your reflections on today?
I mean, I just think it's a fantastic day, a real mix of, starting the day with public policy insights and political insights as well, given that we had the Skills Minister for England talking to us about the big things that are on her mind, and then 2 former ministers following up. I mean, I think that set the scene really well in terms of the level of ambition around our work and how it fits with going with the grain of government thinking in particular around how to drive up standards and prestige in apprenticeships and technical education, which feels like we're in the right place with this conversation right now and what we're trying to achieve with our partners in WorldSkills UK. And then seeing that followed through this afternoon in the conversation around world-class apprenticeships, BAE Systems, Work College Group, conversation we just had now with Toyota and Festo, and then just before that, really interesting conversation about digital skills and foreign direct investment and the work that Ernst & Young EY have been doing. That really get that future look and what's coming down the line, and just listening to that conversation, and thinking about how much change is coming, and are we really preparing young people with the skill set and the mindset to not just embrace that change, but to drive it as well, and thinking about how that's going to change our work and life over the next decade and beyond. I think it was just fascinating. So I think, for me, all in all, sitting here and also listening to the session backstage has just been brilliant insight into how, we are thinking about the work that we're doing, how we're training young people, how we need to train them better for future challenges, and getting the insight from our partners, whether in government and business and colleges, how they're working with us to drive the same agenda. So it really does feel like a real partnership approach between governments, business and education to move this agenda on.
Okay, Neil Bentley-Gottman, Dr. Neil Bentley-Gottman, OBE, many thanks for joining us live today. You are CEO of WorldSkills UK. If you've been inspired and want to find out more about what we've been discussing, obviously today's sessions will be available to view at some point in the future, but also we'll be back tomorrow, and you can also find out more about what WorldSkills UK does in this country and internationally with WorldSkills on the WorldSkills UK website. Just search for that on the internet. And on the subject of tomorrow, which obviously is going to be our second and final day of sessions, we're going to be joined by Ken Skates, MS, who's Minister for Economy, Transport and North Wales, and he will be giving the opening address as he starts the day tomorrow. Marion Plant, Principal and Chief Executive of North Warwickshire and South Leicestershire College, will give her reaction together with Neil. We're going to be discussing where and what next for global skills excellence. We're going to be looking at the WorldSkills legacy, about how to embed excellence across the skills system, and also be looking at how to use international expertise to boost standards in technical education. Many, many more things besides. As always, we'd love you to be a part of it. If you have any questions that you think of overnight, you can do that. Just drop us a note by clicking in the Ask a Question on the right-hand side of your screen. Thank you for all your company today, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 9:30. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.